Get started. It's about 3 minutes past the hour. We've got almost 50 people signed up right now. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt Croson of AGMA to get our webinar going here. Matt?
Hey, thank you, Eric, and welcome everyone. Really appreciate you taking a few minutes so we can talk a little bit about what we feel are some exciting news happening in the marketplace for everybody in the power transmission world. And that is talking about a new show called Motion and Power Technology Expo. Here's some information on the first page where we're really kind of laying out the general framework that you're going to be seeing a lot of over the next year as we kind of begin marketing and get going. But at the end of the day, we have a new show called Motion and Power Technology Expo that's going to focus on all facets of the power transmission supply chain, everything from machine tool to gears to electric drive, and of course our fluid power friends. And Eric, I'm locked. Of course.
You got to click on your PowerPoint itself probably, Matt, before you can advance the slide.
There it is. Thanks.
And as long as I interrupted you, let me, if I can, just take a quick moment. This is Eric Lanke, if you don't recognize my voice, with the National Fluid Power Association. We are going to take questions throughout the webinar today. We're going to use the question box on everybody's webinar panel. So if you have questions as we go through the information, please type them in there, and we'll be moderating that discussion as it rolls forward. So,
thanks, Eric.
Okay.
So I guess the very first question is, why a new name? For those that have been around the American Gear Manufacturers Association for a while, in the mid-'80s we began a show called Gear Expo, and that's grown every other year since we've been around. But a couple of years ago, the organization at the board level began talking about changes in the marketplace and started to talk a lot about how power transmission is now the big focus, and how systems are the big focus, and how electric drive and fluid power and other systems are all in the marketplace. And those are the technical market realities that we were experiencing as an organization. And as an organization, we created a strategic plan that talked about being at the center of power transmission innovation and wanting to work with other organizations that also want to be really dialed in to the power transmission community, no matter whether it was gears or bearings or fluid power and electric drive. And so that is what we were talking about for the past 2 years at both the board of directors level and also at the show committee level. And what we ultimately came up with was bringing the entire supply chain together under a trade show umbrella that required a new name, Motion and Power Technology Expo. What we're going to be doing is putting together a strong, technically focused event that, again, touches on gears and all facets of mechanical power transmission, fluid power, electric drives, as well as the machine tools and the manufacturing supply chain, which you're going to see examples of as we kind of get through the presentation. We also really wanted to make sure that we were getting the strongest possible technical leads for our organization. And as I said earlier, this has been a long dialogue at the board level and committee level. And Eric, I know we talked about almost a year ago, but how long have you guys been talking about it within your community?
NFPA has been kind of having the same conversation that you described probably for the last 5 or 6 years, and we're very excited to be part of this new initiative.
Very good. Now, one of the questions that the organization had when we began talking about transitioning and trying this new show direction is, how do we go about doing this? And one of the very first things that we felt were important was to have partnerships with other leading organizations in the space. And that's when we reached out to the National Fluid Power Association to begin a dialogue. Eric, did you want to introduce your group a little bit to some of the other folks on the line that may not be aware of what NFPA is about?
Absolutely, Matt. Yeah, I see that we have some NFPA members on the line with us, but a lot of names I don't recognize, so I'm going to assume those are folks from the AGMA side of the equation. If you're not familiar with NFPA or with Fluid Power, NFPA is the only trade association that is focused exclusively on hydraulic and pneumatic, which is Fluid Power is an umbrella term for those two technologies, hydraulic and pneumatic technology. As it says up on your screen, we are a supply chain organization, which means we have both suppliers, manufacturers, and distributors of fluid power components and systems in our membership. We have a growing membership currently. We have more than 340 member companies. And as we'll talk about in a few more slides, we really see not just the power transmission focus of the new trade show as something that will be beneficial to technology providers in our space, but also the wide diversity of markets that we can reach as a result. We have committed to trying to fill a 5,000 square foot pavilion on the show floor. We'll see that in a few slides as well. But in the spirit of providing more technical conversations and technical knowledge sets in the organization, we'll also be involved in the show's education program and are actively now involved on the show planning committee to help make the best possible opportunity for all technology providers in this space.
Very good. Eric was one of the first people I reached out to when we began talking about this concept, but we also are going to be partnering with our traditional show partner, which is ASM International. If you're not familiar with ASM International and their heat treat society, they're a group out of Cleveland. They have about 18,000 members, and they're very, very focused on all facets of materials development. We've been working with the heat treat piece of ASM since the show's inception. And if you're on the gear side, we all know heat treat is a very important aspect of producing a gear. And it's a nice example of, even though the show changed its name, the fact of the matter is we are going to still focus on gears and still focus on the machine tools and still focus on the heat treat side of this equation. What's new is simply expanding into electric drive and also fluid power. But ASM International will once again be a partner with us in this year, and as I mentioned, they've been involved with us for a long time. They have about 30,000 square feet of exhibits. They bring about 25 attendees, and I'm very happy to announce that they have retooled one of their other materials-oriented show, and beginning in 2021, in 4 years or 2 show cycles, they will be bringing IMAT to this event, which will bring an additional 2,000 attendees. And we're very excited about that because IMAT tends to bring the innovation heads for Boeing or for GE or various companies that are global in nature and also looking for the latest in any trend as it relates to materials to the event. We are also pursuing additional partnerships, and we have had deep conversations with the National Electric Machinery Association, the American Bearing Manufacturers, as well as SME. These are all pieces of the supply chain puzzle. These are all pieces of the power transmission world that we want to bring together through Motion and MPTE. So in the coming weeks, we are hoping to see or hear about some news with these organizations kind of coming on in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a pavilion or an education seminar, we're not sure, but we're in depth, we're having detailed conversations with them and have been for the past year. This is the show floor as we've designed it. 80,000 square feet of exhibits. We have about 300 exhibiting companies that we'd like to see. Again, reminding everybody that it's about machine tools, gearbox, and then the complete supply chain on aspects of the show that are legacy. You can see in the top left corner, that is the Fluid Power Pavilion, which is now available. And that's the 5,000 square feet that they are going to be putting into place. Everything in purple is wide open and available to anybody who is looking for new space, and we have a group ready to support that in any way, shape, or form. But I just want to say here, this is going to be a small, focused event. This is about technical solution solving. We're not trying to become IMTS. We're not going to be a 1,000,000-square-foot show and talking about tens of thousands or 100,000 attendees. It's not about volume for us, and it never has been. We know we're a niche. We know that our power transmission solutions serve a wide variety of marketplaces, but we also know that when we're at these larger shows, we tend to be a very small component of it. And we don't always get the time and attention when it comes to the technical prowess and dialogue. And that's what the focus of Motion and Power Technology will be about. Very focused, very, very technically oriented, and something that I think over time we will be able to be proud of creating as an industry. Reminder, if there's any questions, you can go ahead and send the chat feature, or and we'll get that question answered for you as we go through the day.
Yeah, Matt, that's a great lead, and we actually do have a question that's just come in on the question box. It is asking whether or not there are any benefits to organizations who are members of both NFPA and AGMA. We know there's a handful of such companies since we are now working on this joint partnership together. And I know that there are obviously discounts on exhibit space being offered to AGMA and NFPA members. I don't know that we've envisioned anything extra and beyond that for companies that have both memberships. Do you have any other response to that?
No, Eric, that was the agreement. Basically, anybody that participates from either organization will receive the full benefit of the $4 off of the trade show price. One benefit in general is that education sessions are not designed, or we don't allow non-exhibitors to present and participate in the education piece. So, anybody that exhibits will have a great opportunity to be able to express educational and technical solutions in some of the classes that we're creating. Before we move on, are there any other questions, Eric?
We have no other questions at this time, Matt.
Very good. This is an example of the markets that we have historically been able to attract. Our show tends to be in Detroit and then another part of the country every other year. So we've been in Indianapolis. We are going to be in St. Louis. We have been in Chicago, Cleveland, other parts of Ohio, Columbus. And so we tend to attract strong manufacturing components representing automotive, material handling, industrial equipment, etc. It is a wide variety of folks that come, and it's also important to note that oftentimes we will have buying teams with 25 to 30 companies bringing 5, 6, 7 people. For example, we might even have GM or some of the bigger automakers bring 25 people to our event. And so again, we always get about 4,000 attendees. It's not about 100,000, where it's about the right people coming who understand all aspects of the power transmission equation that they're trying to solve. Eric, I know you guys are looking at this from a couple different perspectives when it comes to markets. Did you want to talk a little bit about what you saw value in?
I will, and I was going to interrupt because we just had another question pop up. I think you addressed this, but just to make sure that the questioner hears the answer, you talked about the expansion promotion to the automotive industry, and I think we talked before about you're reaching out to SAE as a potential partner in the show. The questioner is asking if those are activities that you're going to be aggressively pursuing being located in Detroit, and it sounds like we are.
Yeah, there's no question. That's one of the reasons why we've always gone back to Detroit from the gear side, is that, the auto industry is such an important part of the mechanical gear. But also, when it comes to the electric drive piece of it as well, we all know, And again, it's a technical reality that a lot of the companies are looking at electric drive solutions. I just got back from China and was able to see firsthand all the buses that are being made now with power transmission, electric drive power transmission. We work very closely with the different chapters, the SME chapters. We'll be reaching out to SAE and work with the Detroit chapters. And I recall we had over 50 some odd people from the SME, 150 people from the SME Detroit. So thank you for that question. And the answer is yes. The auto sector, when we're in Detroit, is a major focus of ours.
Great.
Eric, back to you on the mobile and industrial markets and why you were interested in this.
I wanted to make sure this point was made very well, especially for any of the fluid power oriented folks that are on the call with us. As I mentioned before, the National Fluid Power Association has been dealing with and exploring and trying to find solutions to the same industry trends that Matt talked about at the beginning of the call that AGMA has been wrestling with. Obviously, for the NFPA folks on the call, they know that we have a very successful show that happens once every 3 years in Las Vegas, but that show is very mobile in its focus. Fluid power sells into hundreds of different markets, but generally speaking, they can be divided into mobile markets, those where the equipment that the fluid power is going on moves around, and then industrial markets where the equipment is stationary inside of a plant or other facility. And we, as part of this process, have been looking for an opportunity to bring to our members many more industrially focused customers in a trade show experience. And you can read through the bullet points that I have up on this slide, which reveal some of the demographic analysis that we did based on the last iteration of this show, which of course was Gear Expo. So even with a singular gear focus, there's a much higher exposure to and penetration into those industrial markets. That is an aspect that we fully intend to promote and try to drive more attendance to in MPT, motion and power technology, going forward. So in some of the preliminary conversations we've had with some of our members, it's funny, we've had some who are suspicious that there won't be enough industrial customers there. We have others who are suspicious that there won't be enough mobile customers there. So I kind of wanted to assure our potential exhibitors that we feel very strongly that both of those markets will be very well represented at MPT next year.
Very good. Moving on from the market segments, which we will aggressively approach, and we're going to talk about our plans to market this event in a few minutes, but we also want to talk a bit about attendees. And one of the great things about the traditional show, and I think will continue with Motion and Power, is that we really do get decision makers. This is not a tire-kicking show. This is not a volume show again. The people that come to our show know power transmission, and they tend to be the final recommender or the very strong recommender for any buying solution. And they're almost all engineers who are looking for the latest and greatest. They really want to understand what's happening in the marketplace, and they come there not only to talk, but also find solutions and figure it out. As I also said, more than 25% of the companies that attend bring 5 or more people, and we've got about 25 companies that are bringing 25 to 50 people that are part of a buying team. So it's a very high-level group across all of the market segments that we are serving. This show, again, to reinforce the construct of the fact that this is a very technical event, will have a very strong technical education platform as well. We are going to co-locate our, 50 or 60 year fall technical meeting at this event, as we always have. We are going to have in-depth education seminars that we are looking for guidance from the community on what the topic areas are, whether it's gears, fluid power, and electric seminars. We are also going to have a solution center on the show floor where exhibitors can give in-depth presentations, and we're going to try a knowledge bar within the Emerging Technology Pavilion. I know within the gear space, we'll have additive experts, IoT experts, as well as new alloy and robotics experts within that pavilion. It'll be a great opportunity for the attendee to learn. And to kind of illustrate just what we're looking for, this slide illustrates kind of an example of what we're talking about, that this isn't just going to be high-level, strategic, 30,000-foot view training classes. We're going to be getting into automotive differentials, talking about gear inspection reports, reverse gear system engineering. These are in-depth. These are technical. These are so far beyond basics of gearing, and I think is a nice example of what we're talking about when we're saying we're going technical. Eric, I know you guys are thinking about similar constructs. Did you want to share a little bit about what you were thinking when it comes to education?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we had just completed one of our committee planning meetings last week, if I remember correctly. The examples that you're showing here on the gear side are great, but you guys have had a longer runway than we have to be developing fluid power themed education programs. We're definitely going to have a presence there. And our focus is really going to be, I think, as you've said, on education for the customer engineer, if you will. The attendee coming to the show needs more than just the buying opportunity, if you will, to justify the trip to the trade show sometimes. And so by providing education with technical answers, you know, how do you design a hydraulic system for mobile and or industrial applications? How do you deal with contamination concerns is always a big one in that space as well. And frankly, given the spirit of the show, how do you evaluate different hybridizations of power transmission technologies, fluid power included, and how do you make the best decision for your particular application? These are some of the ideas that we've just started talking about in terms of developing education programs around.
Yeah, and I think that's important to illustrate and reinforce the framework and philosophical framework that are coming at this. And Eric and I had talked, and also our boards and committees talked at the very beginning. The show floor and the education platforms are going to be agnostic. We're not trying to show one is better than another or another approach is the strongest possible one. It's really just taking into account the market realities and trying to create a construct where the entire supply chain on all the solution sets that we know our joint customers are looking for to solve problems is present at the show floor and present in the education rooms that we're going to put together.
Yeah, Matt, we've got a couple of questions coming in right now. If I can paraphrase them, they're kind of on the theme of workforce development, you know, and are there going to be opportunities for us to help attendees and or exhibitors connect to workforce talent at the show?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, this slide kind of speaks to that now. Workforce development, retention, and also attraction is the #1 issue facing the gear community. Eric, I'm sure it's a #1 thing facing the fluid power community because it's a theme across manufacturing. We are going to be launching a lot of things like the Get Into Gears program. We're going to be talking about the AGMA National Training Center in Daly College in Chicago, and we're doing a lot of things proactively that aren't talked about today. But one of the things that we will be doing at the show is making sure we can connect potential employees with employers. And we are talking right now about a job fair, working with our Daly College partners and also Rankin College in St. Louis and other schools that are very involved in everything that we do, ranging from Penn State and Ohio State right on down to the technical schools that we know bring a lot of the operator talent to our community. So it's spot on as a suggestion, and it's spot on as something that we're talking about. And I think over time you're going to see and be delighted to see some of the news that comes out of it when we are ready to launch. Was there another question, Eric?
There were several questions in that vein, so that's a good summary.
Okay. I want to highlight, too, emerging technology track topics. We are, as an industry, committed to understanding some of the disruptive technologies that are at play right now, everything from 3D printing to new materials, the Internet of Things. All of these items are emerging technologies that we track and are participating in by bringing experts to events, including the trade show. So, as Eric was saying, you know, the primary thing that we're doing is putting out a trade show that's focused on motion and power, power transmission in general. But a secondary reason for anybody to come to a show is education, and we're trying to do and create the strongest technical platform for education that we can possibly put together as organizations. We also want to connect attendees informally, and we have a number of ideas that are being developed. We are going to have a traditional welcome reception that tends to be in the exhibit hall and allows us to kind of relax a little bit at the end of the day and connect with each other over some drinks and some food. But we are committed to a Young Professionals Networking event. It's going to be Tuesday of the show at the Cobo Center. We are going to have an off-site networking night. Last time in Columbus, we had a very successful evening out. Actually, we had the Ohio State marching band come by and put on a show. It was a lot of fun. We also are going to be putting it on the first time we've ever done this, a women in manufacturing breakfast, which will allow for folks to connect in different ways and get to meet each other outside of the trade show dynamic. Now, when it comes to attendee marketing, we are going to be very aggressive. AGMA has increased its budget by about 30%. We are going to be out there, frankly, beginning right now. We are using this webinar as kind of the launch date, but we are going to be doing a diverse, integrated marketing campaign that will touch print, digital. We've already done a voicemail blast. We've already done some traditional mailing. Everybody on this call should have received some of our mailings. Attendee brochures, targeted brochures, education mailers, all of these things will be a big part of our marketing campaign, as well as some of the new media, geofencing, Google Ads, search engine optimization. Those are all things that we have tried in the past, and we found them to be very, very successful. So we may bother everybody by the end of this, or by the time the show gets out. But the fact of the matter is we know that it's a new event, and we know that we need to be aggressive and proactive with our communications. And in fact, we're going to be working very closely with our exhibitors to make sure that they become multipliers for us and take the message that their trade show investment is very, very important, and also market the trade show and their participation in it to everybody that they can. We're putting together a toolkit that allows them to take the logos, some of the videos that we put together, and some of the marketing messaging, and transform it into their own manner or their own way. But at the end of the day, if I can get 300 of our exhibitors to communicate all of this to everybody that they know, that's a multiplier effect that I think wins over time. And by the way, that toolkit will be free if you're an exhibiting company. From a media marketing standpoint, you know, we are broadening our outreach to companies and organizations that we know are in the space. And this is an example of just some of the publications and media properties that we will be working with closely. Some of them are, you know, very, very traditional for us, and then others are brand new to us because we have new partners. And I know Eric and I have been working closely with the marketing teams at our respective organizations to kind of come up with ideas and make sure that we're not overlapping, but very working collaboratively and strategically as it relates to how we end up coming to market with our messages. And that's really our message today. Eric, did you have anything to add before we close?
I have nothing specific. While we've just had a question come in from a particular NFPA member asking about the process for signing up for an exhibit. And I guess that's a nice segue into this last screen here. Yeah, we do have a dual track, if you will. NFPA members who wish to exhibit should go through NFPA to file and submit the exhibitor application. Erica Halmstad is on our staff and is in the room with me right now. She is our main contact at the marketing and sales level for this show. So her information is up on the screen. You should contact her directly. And then I'll let Matt, you talk about the AGMA side of it.
Thanks, Eric. What I really want to tell everybody is this. This is an extremely unique opportunity to really center power transmission as a power innovation-oriented organizations. The AGMA and the NFPA have been around a long time. AGMA has been around for 102 years. And we know that we're going to be focused on gears and all aspects of any aspect of gears. But we also know that our companies are focused on electric drive, and many of them are also focused on fluid power. Eric is seeing the exact same thing in his space, where they're traditionally focused on fluid power, but bigger companies are diversifying their product to include electric drive and mechanical solutions as well. This is a unique opportunity for the bigger companies in our space and the smaller companies also to come together and create a very, very focused, small but strong power transmission event. That's the opportunity. Again, we're not trying to be the biggest, the baddest, the most well-attended. What we're trying to get is small, focused, and quality-oriented attendees. And it does need your participation. The fact of the matter is AGMA and NFPA don't sell these technologies. Members do. And we feel, rather than working with the for-profit trade show groups that are out there, we feel like coming together as organizations, you're helping your mission and our mission as a collective by bringing the innovation that you are expressing to your customer base together in one place where the customers can come and find and learn together. And so we really hope that everybody on this call today gives this a try. We think that we've got about 3 show cycles in order for us to really transform the industry and try to get the power transmission community focused and coming to our event where we will meet with engineers and folks talking about pragmatic solutions. And so our contact at AGMA is Jenny Blackford. The contact at NFPA is Erica Halmstad. But you can also go to motionpowerexpo.com and begin a conversation. And we're going to hear about this for many years. AGMA has been around for 102 years, and we've been doing a trade show for about 30 some odd years, and we think that we're going to continue to do that going forward because there is value in bringing the industry together. We are proud to be working with NFPA, and we are looking forward to working with their members, but also the staff to make sure that we are building something that can last. And we welcome all of you to think differently about the market and think and commit time and resources to the power transmission community through your participation in this event. I'm going to finish that up, and I'll ask if there's any other questions. I'm ready to take them, and I'm sure Eric is ready to answer anything as well.
We got two questions in right now, Matt. The first is kind of a housekeeping one. Someone's asking if we will make a copy of this presentation available to everyone after the event. And the answer to that is yes. We are recording this session, and we will be making it available, not just to the people who registered for the webinar, but for everyone else.
We can also send the PowerPoint.
And we'll send out the PowerPoint, yes. And then the other question is about the cost of exhibiting. We didn't talk about that specifically in the webinar so far.
Yeah.
Do we have the prices?
Yeah, it's going to be $24 for members. It's $28 for non-members. And our prices have been the same for quite a while.
And that's per square foot, obviously, $24 per square foot of exhibit space.
Yes, $24 a square foot, yes. Yes.
Okay, there's one more question. Yeah, there's one more coming in here. Are there any plans to publish interdenominational books? For example, a design manual for gearboxes, but not as a combination of many papers, but as a well-organized step-by-step procedure manual.
No, that's a great idea. Yeah. That's a great idea, you know. That's something that we could certainly talk about. I know at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is make sure that the engineers coming into the show understand what the palette of solution sets are available to them. And so that might be a very good output to collaborate as organizations to, you know, to kind of give a roadmap, if you will, for how to think about gears or how to think about fluid power when it comes to what you're going to see on the show floor. So we can talk about that.
There's another question that just came in about the cost, another cost question. You talked about presentations available in the Solutions Center, Matt, and the questioner is asking if what the cost to reserve one of those slots would be.
Yeah, that's $750 for a slot, and those sell out pretty quickly. And you have to be an exhibitor to get that. We tend to have, well, they run about 9 to 5 during the 3 show days, and we also split the time between heat treat as well as NFPA, and then of course the AGMA side. And so, you know, those slots go fast and are relatively low priced for what you end up getting, which is a good little crowd coming to learn a little bit more about what it is you're focused on. We do theme those. We do try to have, you know, a few gear sessions in a row and then heat treat in a row, and then we will, of course, figure out how to put NFPA in a row so that it's not quite like a bingo match where, you know, back-to-back-to-back sessions are probably the right way to go just to make the most time, make the time valuable for the attendee. Any other questions,
okay.
Eric?
One more. Just every time you ask, Matt, another one pops up. So the question is about attendee data. How are attendees captured? Oh, I'm sorry. The questioner is asking specifically about the presentations that you just talked about. Is there any effort to capture who are the attendees at those events?
Oh, yeah. So every exhibitor can scan anybody that comes to their booth, of course, and then we can scan the attendee to each of the sessions. So the answer is yes. We will be able to track who comes and provide that to the participating company. We use scanning technology throughout the show floor to get in and get out. It's all barcode technology, and exhibitors then also have the chance to, you know, some of them buy 2 or 3 barcodes for their booth.
Okay, we're not seeing any more questions, so I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone for dialing in and to thank our partners, Matt and the other folks at AGMA, for all the great information. As I said earlier, NFPA is a full partner in this event, and we are very much looking forward to realizing the vision that Matt so eloquently laid out. You know, a highly focused power transmission, technology agnostic, technical buyers event for our shared industries. Matt, any closing comments on your side?
No, thanks very much for the opportunity, everybody, and we do hope to talk to you soon.
All right.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yep. Take care.
Bye-bye.